everyone. Welcome to the Fake News or Breaking News breakout session at the OurCrowd Summit. I'm Leah Stern, Global Communications Partner, and I'll be moderating this panel over the next 45 minutes. I'll explain the format. We have 3 OurCrowd portfolio company CEOs, and they're going to be pitching 2 announcements. One is real, and one is fake. Our panelists of journalists are going to determine which is which, and explain why and give some critiques. But first, a brief introduction from Cyabra CEO Dan Brahmy. Cyabra is a social search engine that identifies fake accounts and disinformation online. Notable clients have included the US and Israeli governments, not to mention Elon Musk. Dan, please join us up on stage.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. We are going to be taking 10 minutes to discuss one of the most interesting topics. For those of you who haven't seen, by the way, this morning there has been a very interesting article published on The Marker, Le Monde, and The Guardian about the other side, which is what we would like to call the bad actors and the fake actors that are manipulating online conversations. And so it's usually the most useless slide when we talk to people. But just to explain what we're trying to solve here, we actually believe that nowadays, more than ever, there is a machine that can manipulate at scale and falsify actors, behaviors, and content. And this is the roots for what we call today disinformation, misinformation, and propaganda. And it affects every single industry that you can think of. And for the next 90 seconds, instead of talking about the technology that we're trying to promote and sort of help with the problem, we thought of showing you, from an insider's perspective, how it looks and feels like to maybe become the bad actor. So I would like to show you how easy it is to create a fake account and what kind of damage you can create. The first step that you need to do when you want to create a fake account is you need to start by signing up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or VK or whatever it is. And then you stumble upon the first wall, which is pretty much, what name should I use? What kind of email should I use? Where am I coming from? What age am I, right? And so you're pretty much asking, well, should I find an uncommon, unknown name? Why would you even think about it? Why don't you just ask Google? What is the most common name that I can have in France, in Israel, in Ukraine, in Russia, and wherever you can think of? So you don't actually have to think through the process of the social engineering. My God, you can just call yourself Tetiana Petrenko, create a Gmail account, because creating a Gmail account is literally a 12 seconds process, as you can think. You have your password, you have your date of birth, and this is the first wall that you can cross over to create your account. Now you have an empty account, but you need pictures, history, context, everything. So why don't I just log into an additional social media platform called vContact, download the openly available information and pictures from that platform from another lady called Olga, download a picture, upload it on my empty account on Facebook, and now I have a visual appearance. So now that I have a name, a picture, an email, and, well, soon to have also a history, I'm continuously browsing through Olga VK's account. Then I see that she has been attending a hockey game. So I'm going to take the comment, download the picture, make it my own, and just for the sake of making people believe, like I've been on Facebook for the last, let's call it 6 years, I can backdate my post to November 2016. The human eye cannot perceive the change that I've just made, but this is such a powerful play when you're creating a fake account. You can change your history, your content, the pictures, your videos, and nowadays with the generative AI possibilities, you can generate content at scale. The last thing that I'm missing is friends, engagement. Don't work too hard. You can just buy them, that's fine. Spend a few hundreds of dollars and I guess you are able to do almost anything you want, right? So I think this is a very timely topic because we realize that you can simply, at scale, create social engineering methodologies, sometimes for good use cases, and unfortunately, a lot of the times for bad use cases. The additional, like you said, and thank you for the disclaimer, the additional insider perspective that we thought of talking about is our involvement with the Twitter acquisition. Elon Musk was our customer for a long period of time throughout 2022 with the acquisition. We were commissioned by him to understand the nefarious virality of the bot and spam accounts on the platform before he went on and actually spent those few precious dozens of billions of dollars. And we realized, and let me tell you something, we realized that the situation was not as clean as they claim to be as a publicly traded company, because it's not less than 5%. It's not 2%. It's not 1%. It's between 11 to 14%. And the problem is not just the ratio of inauthenticity, it's actually the influence that they create, which is geared towards dozens of percentages of every single conversation on Twitter. So you can imagine the amount of impact that it has to be a social media platform and to not necessarily understand the influence that you have within your own turf. So that's exactly what we were commissioned by Elon Musk to do. It's to act as a filtering mechanism. So I'm just going to go very briefly around, I'd say, 2-3 major case studies that we have stumbled upon throughout 2021, 2022, and what does it mean for the future ahead of us. I am going to start with a very interesting story. Most of the people think that disinformation and fake news affects governments and affects elections. It actually affected deeply, clear-cut influence operations within the biggest divorce history of online celebrities between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And what we saw is that actually there was close to 11% of the profiles discussing the topic that were generating the negative sentiment around one of the sides. I think it's sort of speaking by itself. And kind of the biggest takeaway here is that this is just one story about one divorce, but you have weddings, and you have birth, and you have, you name it, right? We just simply by mistake stumbled upon that story of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And it sounds like a small number. I mean, 11%. It's actually almost at the rate of what we see when we stumble upon, we as in the product, we stumble upon election interference. So imagine what I just told you. Election interference has the same rate of disinformation and influence than Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. How interesting that is. All right, second story, the midterm elections. I could start by the takeaway, which is I'm actually scary to get to 2024. But the main takeaway is when we were looking at the 2022 midterm elections, we realized that the techniques have been the same. They just became more, they just evolved into something bigger and something much more targeted, because the capabilities from a social engineering perspective, right? From a bad actor perspective, which is how can I, at scale, falsify the content, the behaviors, and the actors involved, it's become mainstream. Anyone can just spend $200 and create bots at scale. And now with ChatGPT, did anyone ask itself what would be the implication from a fake news and disinformation standpoint? How easy it is to create plausible content at scale? So just food for thought. And then the last topic is Disney. So we've done a lot of research around Netflix, Disney, and a lot of some of the largest brands in the world. Here's an interesting story. Almost 22,000 posts in a single platform for one day related to the secret connection between Disney and the Jeffrey Epstein sort of conspiracy. And so this is a great example of how brand reputations can be built for decades and can be dearly damaged within just a couple of days. Because conspiracy theories can be promoted and propagated in such an easy way that no one is really protected by this almost, right? Just as a quick overview.
Thank you, Dan, so much. We actually have to wrap up, but question,
Beautiful.
How many fake accounts do you think are out there, if you had to estimate?
If we are taking the daily active users of the major social media platforms, we're pretty much looking at a few hundreds of millions within the big ones, so the Facebooks and the Instagram and the Twitters and the Snap and the TikToks of the world.
Good thing we have you guys to determine what's fake and what's real. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
I'm now going to call on stage our journalists, our 4 journalists. If you could join me. We have Frederic Lardinois, Senior Enterprise Editor at TechCrunch, all the way from Portland, Oregon. Kristie Neo, Venture Capital Editor at DealStreetAsia out of Singapore. Stephen Armstrong, a journalist at Wired out of the UK. And Ahdeya Alsayed of the Bahrain Jouranlists Association, formerly of the Journalists Association of Bahrain, and also a contributor to various outlets in the Middle East. We'll start with you, Frederic. If you just could share with us who you are, what you do.
I am Olga. No, just kidding. I am the Senior Enterprise Editor for TechCrunch. I manage a team of writers who cover all things enterprise, B2B, SaaS. I've been there for a good 11 years now. I've been doing this job for 16 in total, various publications.
You look well rested for that long.
Yeah, it's been a long day. Yesterday was long.
Sorry, that's my fault.
It's a long trip. And this is what, my 4th time here now?
Frederic's a veteran of the OurCrowd Summit, yes.
Yeah,
4 times.
so
He likes
4th
it
time.
here.
I like it here. It's a fun event, and thanks for having us.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristie. I'm a venture capital editor with DealStreetAsia. DealStreetAsia is a Nikkei and Financial Times-owned publication. I'm based in Singapore, so I cover all things VC, startups, LPs, anything to do with fundraising, deal making, M&As, IPOs, exits, you name it. I'm on it. So, yep, that's me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Armstrong. I write long-form features mainly for Wired, although I will do smaller stuff. So normally by the time I come for you, you've reached a particular size and you have some kind of heft and impact. But we do roundups of smaller startups. And I also write for a number of UK newspapers, the Sunday Times and the Telegraph is my main output.
I'm Ahdeya Alsayed. I come from Bahrain, and I'm former president of the Bahrain Journalists Union. I've been in the press industry for the past 32 years. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm glad that fake news was an issue that has been brought up since President Itzhak spoke about the Abraham Accords. I think the region has been facing a lot of fake news in an attempt to sabotage what we are trying to achieve with the Abraham Accords.
And it's not your first time in Israel, correct?
It's my 2nd time.
Welcome.
Not my last time.
So I think we're ready for our first CEO, victim CEO. If you could join us, Dr. Zvi Schreiber. He's the CEO of Freightos. Freightos is a global freight pricing and booking platform, kind of like the booking.com of global freight. 10,000 importers, thousands of freight companies, and hundreds of airlines and different sea companies use their tech to move things around the world. And I think congratulations are in order. Went public on the NASDAQ just about 2 weeks ago. So Zvi is going to present 2 pitches, one real and one fake, and then we're going to see which is which.
All right. Thanks, Leah. Thanks, everyone. I'm Zvi Schreiber. I started Freightos 11 years ago after I noticed that the world of international shipping, which is so important, never went through the same digital revolution that passenger travel went. So if you as a passenger want to travel already for 25 years, you can go to a website, compare prices, and book the best price. But if you want to ship goods, around the world, then until certainly before Freightos, and we're starting to change it, but it was an old-fashioned experience. You had to phone around and you'd get a lot of price quotes which weren't clear, etc. So we've been working for 11 years on digitizing freight with some level of success. But our real breakthrough only came around 2021 when we had access to a new form of transport. So we found that just digitizing it didn't really resonate with the markets nearly as much as finding a new mode of transport, which was inherently more efficient. So we were very fortunate that around 2021 there was a certain amount of deregulation, and drones became legal in certain states in the US for cargo only, and in certain jurisdictions in Europe as well. And this allowed us to transport goods in pilotless drones up to 300 kilo, 400 kilo per drone, and only on certain routes where it's regulated. But we found a huge benefit. Number one, of course, the most obvious benefit is the costs of the pilot, but we discovered that more important benefits were the weight of the pilot and the delays, many delays to cargo or because a pilot is ill or positioned in the wrong place, etc. And so bringing drones onto our platform alongside traditional modes, you see here our screen where you see different price quotes, some of them with traditional aircraft and seacraft, and some of them with more modern approaches, which really revolutionized allowed us to have a unique value add and really drove a lot of traffic to our site. So what you can see on the next slide, let me see if I can click this, is the result. So we were growing a little bit before 2021. This is the number of transactions booked on Freightos per quarter. And you can see there was some growth even before 2021. But as we brought on a new unique mode of transport, the growth really went exponential. And we really had escape velocity. And you can see that we grew from beginning of 2020, we were doing 4,000 transactions a quarter. And last quarter, we did well over 200,000, even though the economy was soft. And so it's been very exciting. After many years of waiting for the breakthrough, it's been very exciting that a new technology was able to really ignite our growth. And as you can see, we've had more than 300% year-on-year growth on average over the last 3 years. Thank you very much.
So we're going to determine the first pitch, and then we'll see the second one.
No, sorry, that was both. I combined them.
Oh, you combine them.
There were 2 slides.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there one fake slide and one real slide?
Well,
Is
yes.
that what you're saying?
Could
Yes,
you
there
just
was.
put the first slide? Can you
Oh, I'm
just-
sorry, yeah. You can see it also down here. But yeah, this was the first slide. This is
You guys
our,
can stand up and look at the slides. Feel
yeah,
free.
this is our, or you can see it down there or here, yeah. This was the first slide. This is our search page where you see different results, both traditional modes of transport, whether it's traditional aircraft, traditional seacraft, and then as it was deregulated, drone mode of transport competing with those. And this was our growth rate, as you can see. Some decent growth before 2021, but really phenomenal growth, growing well over 100x in the last 2 years after that revolution came online.
What you're saying is that the second slide is dependent on the first slide. So if the first slide is false, the second slide has to be false.
I didn't say that, no.
That would follow because that was
Give him the
what
mic.
you're saying is that second slide results from the first slide.
I'm not adding more commentary at this time.
Sorry, I should say that it's really hard sometimes with pitches because the first thing you do when someone pitches you is you ask a lot of questions about what they meant by something.
Oh, you're
so
welcome to ask
there's
questions
something-
about the business, but
Yeah, there are certain bits and pieces that and I don't think we have time to necessarily go through the whole interrogation.
Go do your thing.
Well, the first question is, is the second slide dependent? So the growth was dependent on the drones.
yes.
I'm in a no.
I will give you props for the convincing drone argument for things that don't exist. So that's pretty good. I've covered drones. I know there's no regulations for long-haul cargo drones, so that's I'm going to say that was made up. But I'm going to guess that your growth statistics are correct, but due to the pandemic, not because of drones, that's going to be my argument, because if I'm up there in my little plane and there's some drone coming along, I'm going to get really scared because it shouldn't be there. So, good job with that.
All right,
So-
thank you. Should I respond, or we want to let other people
Let's
comment
let
first?
them, let's let them, you can respond, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Frederic, you're quite correct. We do not yet, a round of applause for Frederic from TechCrunch.
The rest of the journalists would have said the same.
By the way, yes.
I'd like to hear what the other journalists said, and then we'll give, you cheated,
course,
though.
yeah.
That was cheating.
I see.
Well, I mean, you already provided the answer, but I was actually also, I mean, not that I've covered drones before, I've not covered drones that much. But, I mean, for me as a venture capital startup reporter, it's a little bit strange if your core business is starting out in maritime and you're kind of branching out into drones, which sounds to me like a bit of a deviation. I would imagine that most investors would not be that happy if you were kind of starting out. So usually my first question would be, how much would drones be contributing to your overall sales? Which I didn't get a chance to ask, but I was already kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't see drones being a big play. So yeah, I was leaning more towards the second slide rather than the first slide.
Ahdeya?
Okay, first of all, I'm trying to visualize how the drones were working. How are they working with, how does it work if pilots aren't available? I need to know that to decide whether the first story is fake and the second story is fake, because they're all related. How, I mean, I don't know if everyone can visualize it. How is it working?
Is that a
initially?
question?
Yes.
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's completely fake. But,
Yeah.
but
Doesn't make
having
sense.
said that, it's coming soon. I mean, there are drone deliveries in certain jurisdictions already today for last mile, and there should be within a year drones for mid-range, sort of intra-Europe. Long-range drones are a long way off. But so the technology I described is coming soon, but we don't do it today, and that was completely fake.
Okay, but your figures said
The
that.
growth is absolutely real. Yeah.
How can
But
it be
nothing to do
real
with
when it
drones.
hasn't happened yet?
No, no, the number of drones. Okay, so we do both. First of all, to your point, we do both. We always did both air and ocean, and air has been a big part of our growth always. That's not branching out. We've always done both air and ocean because those are the two main ways that goods travel long distance around the world. And the growth of our transactions is absolutely real. That chart is correct, but drones did not play any role in that whatsoever.
And just one more comment from Frederic, and then we'll move on to the next CEO.
I was just thinking about, is this something we would cover? And maybe that's something interesting for the audience as well. Since it's just momentum, you're telling me we're doing a lot of something. It's not something we would cover, for example. That's not a story for us. So it's something to keep in mind. A lot of startups come with that story to us. And, oh, we just sold our first, we just have a 10 million ARR now. Good for you. Right? It's not a story for me, but good for you. But so just keep that in mind that it's often not a story for journalists.
I agree. Well, there is a real story what triggered the growth. I didn't tell it today, but
Fair enough.
there is an interesting story behind it as well.
We'll be looking out for it in Frederic's inbox. I'll tell him to open it. Thank you so much, Zvi.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next CEO is the JumpCloud CEO, Rajat Bhargava. He's at JumpCloud, and it's a directory platform that solves the toughest SME IT challenges out there, from identity to access and security. Over 180,000 global users, including myself at OurCrowd. I'm a big fan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm Raj Bhargava. I'm co-founder and CEO of JumpCloud. JumpCloud connects people to their IT resources. So basically, when you log into your machine, you log into your applications, you log into anything you're logging into, we are behind the scenes making sure that it's really you logging into those services. So our first pitch to the esteemed panel is we believe organizations are demanding an open directory platform. So there's a patchwork of solutions out there today that are trying to connect us to all those different things. So how many passwords do we all have? Right, we all have a lot of different passwords and a lot of different tools that we need to access. And we believe those are failing organizations today, workers today. So we believe that organizations are looking for a single platform to connect people to all of the different things. So manage the proliferation of identities, build a new IT backbone, so a core IT system that connects everybody to what they need frictionlessly and securely. And it's going to decrease IT expenses. It's going to let organizations scale with confidence. Oh, we have the wrong one up. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Just let's change the slide because we're.
Yep, we'll just change the slide real quick. Sorry. Thank you for catching me.
Can you change the slide, please?
Can we go to, there we go. Sorry.
They look the
So,
same.
yep. Just a little bit different. And basically, this open directory platform is going to help organizations become compliant with all the different privacy and different regulations around the world. So that's our first pitch is, basically organizations are demanding a open directory platform. All right, we can go back to the first one.
Now we're going to do the second
Yep,
pitch. And this
this-
time, you all have to determine what's real and what's fake before we hear the real answer.
Sounds great. So we all want to get rid of passwords, right? So the number of passwords out there is enormous. So basically, we believe that the world is going to move to a passwordless world. Passwords, organizations out there, we've surveyed about 500 different small to medium enterprises around the world. Basically, 67% of those people said that they want to move to a passwordless authentication process. We believe biometrics are the way to go. So about 81% said they're already using admins, IT admins are using biometrics for their devices and other applications. And they say about 64% want to be able to use biometrics across all of their infrastructure. So we believe that the next product out there is going to basically eliminate passwords, and biometrics are going to take over.
Stephen, we're going to start with you. Which one's real and which one's fake?
I mean, I don't see how the first one can be possible because the data storage, the regulations for a single global platform, I can't see how that would work legally or practically. So it's probably true. And also, I would also, for future pitching people, I think that if you come and make sweeping generalizations like the world, and things like open world, everybody, automatically you're thinking, nah, because that's not how the world works. It's nice to throw in percentages, 67%, 64%. So without doing any interrogation of those, I do know that there are moves, for instance, to get SIM cards as ID on password substitution. I know there's movements in that area. And I thought that basically throwing in the percentages as opposed to throwing in the entire planet was a more convincing pitch.
A little harsh.
I do have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go
Follow-up
ahead.
question on the second one. So this particular solution that you have, are you targeting to sell this to corporates? Like, who would your main
so we work with
clients be?
corporate organizations. So I should have been more clear that we sell to small to medium enterprises all around the world. So about 180,000, 200,000 organizations around the world use our platform as the foundation to connect their people to whatever IT resources they need. It could be devices, it could be applications, it could be data storage, it could be networks, a VPN, for example, or Wi-Fi. So that's what our platform does.
And these clients have employees who are happy to release their biometric data to their employers.
That's how you have to access. You have to access what you need to access, right? So how do I make sure that when you're
I find that a little
accessing
bit hard to believe.
corporate data, if you're
Little bit
accessing
hard to
corporate data, how do I
So
make
what
sure
kind
it's
of
you?
biometric data are you collecting?
So it would be retinal scan, fingerprint, face.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really, I think the second one is fake. That's just me.
Yeah, that was a good one, because I think we're all thinking which one is correct here. Since your name is JumpCloud, I'm going to go with the first one, with the Open Directory platform. It seems more like that would be your thing. Plus, you said Active Directory on that slide and stuff. That was pretty good. So I'm just going to go with that, because I'm guessing it's just
So the
targeted.
first one is fake, or first?
No, I'm going to say the first one is real.
For real. Okay, so I think
Wait, one, Ahdeya, what do you
What?
think?
I think both are fake. I'm studying your body language. Your body language isn't telling me anything true. Because I'm not that good with technology. There is something about you.
So
You're
both of
tricking
them
us
are both of them. I'm lying on both of them.
Both, yes.
Okay, so which is it?
So which is it? The second one's actually fake. So yeah. So, but it's interesting. I think all of us know we all have passwords. Identities being hacked is the most critical way that organizations are compromised. So we do believe long term we will shift from having passwords to it being some other method, whether it's all the biometrics or whether there's some other ways to do that. But ultimately we know it has to be more secure, and identity is at the core of basically everything that we do. And so that's what we think.
How was his pitch, though, in his language? And it was
Well, she thought I was unbelievable. She
I was watching you.
yes.
But you had command of the material. He felt quite comfortable to me. It was,
Very, very, yeah.
we might take some questions at the end.
Yeah, let's do it.
But you want to?
Go ahead, Frederic.
I'll give you a chance in just a second there. I thought one thing that would have been interesting is, and I know you didn't have a lot of time, but identity management is such a huge space. It would be good to kind of talk a little bit how does something like Okta fit in there, or some other companies that are in the same space, or Active Directory, you mentioned it there, right? Just to differentiate what you do from some, because it's a very, very crowded market.
And it's also challenging, right? Because this is a mixed group, right?
Sure.
So, and you're very well versed in identity management and deep enterprise technology. So, but we believe in identity transformations happening, just like a cloud transformations happened over the last 10, 15 years. We think we also need to transform identities to be, much more secure and from the cloud. So that's the core opportunity that we think is in the market today.
Chaim, quick question. What is it?
My quick question, you're saying global, and just wondering, how many businesses and how many countries do you guys have?
So we have about 180 to 200,000 organizations that use our platform worldwide, which is organizations, not users, right? And then they have all their users. And we serve about 160 countries around the world. So a tremendously wide platform. Ultimately, think of it as core infrastructure to enable sort of everybody moving to the cloud. And we all know that that's happening. People are becoming more efficient. They're consolidating technology. The core foundation of that is identity, connecting people to their work, making them productive, making sure that they can accomplish what they need to accomplish. That's all based on identity, and that's the opportunity that we see out in the market.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Rajat.
having me.
Thank you very much. Nothing personal, by the way.
Our last CEO is Maya Ashkenazi Otmazgin of MAOLAC. Most women that have given birth and breastfed are familiar with the benefits of colostrum. Cows actually produce colostrum as well, and almost 5 billion liters are discarded every year. Maya's found a way to take bovine colostrum, turn it into a superfood, and incorporate it into supplements, cosmetics, food, and drink. And she's an absolute superstar. Maya, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. And I want to tell you a story.
Maya, just stand in front of the mic so we can...
I think my volume is I have strong volume, but let's go with that. Okay, so up until now you had tech companies and things like that, and right now you have a food tech company. And I want to share with you how I came to realize that we have something strong in our hand. So a lot of people might look at breast milk as a solution for babies. So MAOLAC is the only company right now in the world that realized that we are looking at the wrong way. If we will understand that inside of breast milk we have biofunctional protein that's responsible not just for giving us nutritional value, but basically bringing us biofunctional capabilities, increasing immunology, digestion, sight, skin, cognition, basically everything. So what we decided to do in MAOLAC is to leverage nature composition in breast milk and use it and use AI tools to basically find bioequivalent protein in alternative sources. One of the sources is transitional milk in bovine, in cows. And right now, we're also launching new ingredient that would be plant-based. And what's really amazing with what we are doing is that those ingredients, they come as a form of protein powder, and they will be incorporated into food. The food we all know. When we go to the supermarket and we buy a yogurt, a snack, and a beverage, look for it, because next year in Israel, in Spain, and also in the US, you might find our ingredient inside. So I wanted to give you a better understanding of how MAOLAC is going to revolutionize this category. So we have three main layers. The first one is our proteomic platform. Data science is not just for the tech company, it's also for us. What we have accomplished in MAOLAC is basically to create our own database on human breast milk, different other mammals, and different potential raw materials. Again, different plants and different side stream of the dairy industry. That specific platform allows us to basically find compatibility, but not just in the identity of the protein, but in its biosimilarity. I wanna emphasize that because it's very important. Biosimilar protein, our body will recognize them, and their efficacy would be much better. And therefore, performance in functional ingredient is very, very special. Another thing is our process. The way we are working, we built a plant production facility in the north of Israel, and what we are doing in that plant, we use filtration techniques together with chromatography to produce those precise ingredients. And at the end, MAOLAC is a company, we don't have one-trick pony. We basically use this platform to create and to continue creating more and more ingredient. Up until now, we have 2 formulations. Those formulations are targeted for sports nutrition, healthy aging nutrition, and also very good solution for digestion. We call it the next generation of probiotics that is comprised with proteins. So I want to give you another thing that is important, and it's proprietary to MAOLAC. You probably know Abbott. You probably know Nutricia. They are small companies, very small. And compared to us, of course. So basically, MAOLAC is the only company right now in the world that was able to establish a database on human breast milk that comprised with more than 1,500 functional protein. You would be surprised, but the scientific community was able to discover only half of those. But we are not Columbus. We did not discover any new protein. Those protein, our body's supposed to produce them on its own when we are grown-ups. And we are babies, we get those from nature immediately. And those are the protein we leverage to create our products. So I want to show you the concept, and we have a booth here. You can come over and see those products. Those are several concepts of finished product that could integrate our ingredient and have different claims. So as I mentioned, we have an anti-inflammatory product that suitable for sports nutrition, mainly for recovery after workout and increased performance. You can see different claims, different industry, different sources that we can produce. The second ingredient, the second compound, is a composition of protein to support digestion as part of the next generation of gut health. We will incorporate them inside of yogurts very, very soon. Healthy aging, this is a big thing. So we also create a solution for us when we become older to strengthen our immunity. And we also have solution that you can apply on dermocosmetic. Before wrapping up, I want to share with you all a very important discovery by MAOLAC. We realized that our solution, we could mimic the entire composition of human breast milk, and we can put that as a product for healthy aging as well. that we would launch at the beginning of 24 in the US. And that's it. I hope you all will enjoy the prevention revolution through food that we in MAOLAC would like to convey. And thank you.
I'm just trying to figure out which pitch is which. So the second pitch is the launch of the new product. And the first pitch?
I like divided it to the pitch of the company, the technology, and then products. So I showed you several products, and I also discussed about several products. One of those products that we supposed to launch is completely fake. How about the body language? Now.
You are very convincing.
Yeah, I know.
The way you
I know.
speak, you're
I
really
know, I
good.
know.
She's a scientist, so she's cheating.
And I used to work for the Israeli police, so I have tricks.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew there was something.
Yeah.
So sports aging, the products were the sports product, the aging product, and the gut product.
Yeah, and we had another one.
What was the other one?
Full formula to mimic breast milk for elderly.
Sorry, can we go back to the slide again?
Yeah. Which one?
Because you're saying that one of the products is fake, right?
Yeah.
So are you saying that,
There's just a lot of products, so we want to make sure we're...
Yeah.
How would
Do
full
each of
breast milk
these
age-
represent products with?
No, those are
specific-
claims. Those are potential claims. We are a B2B company. So basically, global brand, they supposed to incorporate this protein powder. And those are like potential claims they could write on the label.
Is there a slide on the products?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to make it shorter.
So which are the products again?
Okay, so you have sports nutrition category. You have gut solution category, next generation of probiotics. You have healthy aging for elderly, and you have full solution mimicking breast milk, again, for elderly.
So what? What's the functionality then there in these proteins? So there's the functionality in the sports and in the gut health.
Okay, so in the sports, we have anti-inflammatory effect
Okay.
to improve recovery. When you are doing sports, when you are building the muscle, you also tear it up. The tearing is basically an inflammation reaction. Not any inflammation in our body is bad, okay? So we wanted to control and to moderate that inflammation in order to improve recovery and improve the building muscle over time.
And that does happen in breast milk. So then what's the gut solution is?
The gut solution is 11 protein that are basically helping the endothelium cells in the gut, increasing the pH level in order to improve the resistance of good microbiome versus the bad. This is a new solution for probiotics.
And how does the breast milk help with healthy aging?
A lot. When we become elderly, we basically lose a lot of our functionality. It's like a car. The more you drive it, the performance will get lower. Okay, sorry for the bad example, but we are like a car.
Stephen, you got to pick one. One through...
There's a final one.
I can go all day. You need to choose
Maya
one.
can go all day,
one,
yes.
which is the complete reproduction of.
Yeah, because probably Abbott has a brand that they are selling in hospitals, Ensure. You know Ensure? And up until now, the Ensure has a solution for nutritional element, but has no solution for biofunctional capabilities. So we decided to do all in, and to create a formulation that will be suitable for elderly and will have everything in one place, the new Ensure.
We got about 3 minutes. We may have to continue that conversation offline. Stephen wouldn't cover it. Let's just put it that way.
I definitely think the inflammatory and the gut is definitely true. So it's going to be the aging one, and I think probably the last one.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the aging one, too. That just seems like a bit too much.
Okay.
Kristie?
Final vote.
I don't know. I mean,
She's in charge.
probably the aging one, but I'm just, I don't know. I just felt like overall the pitch was a little bit. Why breast milk?
Wow, this is a strong question. I will give you in a sentence. Through evolution, there is only one substance that have answers to all the changes in our biology and gives a very good picture to a solution to all the changes we have in environmental and in pathogens, even through epidemics. So this is why we are leveraging that substance.
And what's the difference between your solution and, say, a protein shake? Or
Composition.
any supplements that are available in the market today?
Oh, a lot. The protein themselves, their structure, their stability, their influence on organoleptic characteristics and things like that.
Okay, which one was real and which one was fake?
Oh.
So most of you were like to the spot. So the last one to biomimic full breast milk for elderly, this is completely false. Yeah. So
Thank you so much, Maya. Before we wrap up, we just want to ask all of you, the worst pitch you ever received and why, and maybe some tips on getting better pitches. And we have about 3 minutes.
I can go for about an hour with that one. There's a school somewhere that teaches PR people to say, I just read this article from you, and I think I've said this before here at OurCrowd, but I just read this article, then there's an article completely unrelated to anything. Maybe it's not even written by me, that happens quite occasionally, and has nothing to do with what the company's trying to pitch at that moment. That was great. That was one of the best articles I ever read. It took me about 20 minutes probably to write that one. And those are the worst ones. They're formulaic. I know they're fake.
You don't like getting buttered up, you're saying.
No, just give me the story straight. Just tell me this is the news and move on. I don't need to be flattered. That's fine. I appreciate it in person. Sure, come up to me later on, flatter me. Love it. But don't do it in my inbox, so that helps.
I think for me, as again, as a VC, because I talk to a lot of startup founders as well, I think I really appreciate the simplicity of the solution that you are proposing. I want to understand what the problem statement is and how your solution is solving this problem. And it needs to be very, very distilled, very, very clear, and very concise. Because I think that's what makes your product compelling, not just to me, but to your clients as well and to your market, and that's what makes it saleable, right? So I think practicing that statement, that problem statement, and solving how you are solving that problem statement is so key. Because I think like the way you pitch to journalists, I would think will be the same way that you pitch to investors, So I think just having that clarity is so important, in a pitch.
So for Wired in particular, we won't come in at funding round stages, phoning up and saying you've got a ton of investment. It doesn't interest us. Everybody gets a ton of investment. It's surviving and surviving and surviving, and then proving that you have made a change. So we wouldn't write about you until we could see evidence of a social change or functional change that your company had done, which was interesting. So it's just don't come to us until a lot later on.
Thank you. Well, I would do it in a different way. All the 3 pitches were interestingly conveyed, but I would turn that into an investigative journalism piece. I would never take that as any of the pitches that you've made. Investors would do their own research and homework because they need to invest their money and where it goes, but I need to know more about the drone story, so I would get content from other places to provide content to my readers that makes sense and that is credible. I would question more if I'm sitting with all the 3 companies that have presented their pitches. I would be asking more, but again, the human mind cannot absorb everything that you're saying. You're all convincing because you're all professionals in your own fields. So no, I would take it to a higher level, investigative journalism, quote you, quote other people who'll say what you're saying is impossible. So, and leave it for the reader to decide. We're not investors, we're just providing something for the readers. Thank
See,
you.
my job isn't so easy, is it? Thank you so much to all our participants today for joining us. Enjoy the summit.